I got you into a Remington party. What's my thanks? It's on the hallway carpet. I got paid in puke. Lick it up, baby. I got paid in puke.
Welcome to Paid in Puke, the podcast where we discuss female-driven films through an inclusive feminist lens, with the help of the 1988 film Heathers. Paid in Puke is hosted by Jessica Baxter, Amy Green, and Christina Barr. It's also a spoiler-filled free-for-all. You've been warned. On this episode of Paid in Puke, we're investigating Susanna Fogel's 2023 thriller Cat Person, based on the 2017 short story by Kristen Roupenian and adapted for the screen by Michelle Ashford, who was the showrunner for Masters of Sex and, most importantly, wrote the teleplay for the abortion episode of 21 Jump Street.
Oh.
The film stars Emilia Jones, Geraldine Viswanathan, Hope Davis, Isabella Rossellini, and Nicholas Braun. Cat Person tells the story of Margot, a 20-year-old anthropology student who is worried that the older man she started dating might be dangerous. I'm Jessica Baxter.
I'm Christina Barr. I'm Amy Green.
Let's start with a little background about the short story real quick. Because in my research, discovered some interesting things. The short story had a not insignificant role in the Me Too movement. It sort of brought up the question of nuance in assaults and unwanted sexual advances. The New Yorker published Roupenian's story in 2017, and it became the first viral short story. Many young women felt that it portrayed nuance in dating they'd never seen before. And many men felt it was an unfair portrayal or an example of why the Me Too movement had, quote, unquote, gone too far. Regardless, it led to a $7 million 2-book deal for Roupenian, and she later sold the film rights. And then the juicy part, in 2019, Alexis Nowicki published an article on Slate called Cat Person and Me, in which she at first suspects it's semi-autobiographical to her life and then later confirms with Roupenian that it actually was. And the results proved disastrous for Nowicki and the real-life Robert, who died in 2020. So that's a wild little connection we'll get into later. Cat Person, the movie, had a limited release and was a box office flop, although it's hard to say if people would have seen it or not because it was such a limited release.
Right.
$12 million budget, $400,000 box office. And it currently has a 46% ROTT and a 48% Metacritic score. A lot of people did not like it. A lot of critics, even women critics. The top critics on ROTT with criticisms are women. Rebecca Harrison for Sight and Sound says that it's a messy adaptation that never commits to its central argument and does a disservice to the younger audience it's striving to reach. Jen Cheney for Vulture says it wants to tell us more than the 7,000-word work of short fiction can, but this examination of personalities and emotions we project onto others forgets to leave some space unfilled. And the 2017 Vox article, much of the discomfort and controversy swirls around the character of Margot and all that she represents, a white, college-educated, straight, relatively thin young woman. She's both a figure of enormous privilege and a figure who is disempowered. And most of the discourse about the story has focused on trying to figure out exactly where she stands.
Is that guy Robert again?
Listen, concession stand girl. Why don't you give me your number?
Wait, you never said where he goes to school.
I think he just works. He has cats. His eyes are nice. They crinkle.
Yeah, because he's old.
I think I really like him.
As promised.
I'm not saying I will have sex with him, but I think he would like it.
Why are we having this conversation? He's a terrible kisser. Listen to me. Call it a night.
Hey, do we want to do this? This is the worst life decision I've ever made.
I had a good time tonight, didn't you?
Yeah.
So what was his go-to move? The reverse squatting cowgirl? Were his cats at least cute?
I never saw them.
Uh-oh.
Why lie about having cats?
Because liking cats makes a guy seem non-threatening. Harmless. He's hiding something.
I'm the monster in your mind.
I need to keep someone away from me. You scared me.
People choose to be scared.
Can't say I'm surprised to find lovely ladies like yourselves in here looking for protection.
Kelvin, you need to shut that shit down right now.
What is the matter with you?
You manipulated me.
So he called you a whore.
If you want to get along with a man and not be alone your whole entire life, make peace with a little discomfort.
One of us has to die.
I'm the monster.
I'm kind of surprised it was so negatively. I don't know. I walked out of the theater. I didn't think it was awful or anything. I don't know. But yeah, the second time watching it, it's different, like watching it for the podcast because I'm like taking notes and I'm actually thinking about it more than when I just watch it.
Exactly.
Just to go to the movies. But yeah.
Which is what critics do as well. They're not really watching movies for fun. They're watching movies to find things to talk about.
So for me, the first time we saw it in the theater, and I thought it was okay, but I really thought it fell apart at the end. Because I loved that story, and I loved her book that she wrote after, right? There's a lot that's added to it. And for me, an adaptation doesn't have to be exactly the same. That's fine, but every way that it changed was bad. And I really thought once you got past what's the end of the story is when he texts her, I saw you, blah, 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 is that your boyfriend, whore? And that's the end of the story. And then everything that came after that was a mess. You know, I was like, I didn't go there with it. You know, like it went so melodrama that to me didn't work. But I was trying to think, like, was I comparing it too much to the original? I'm trying to let it be itself. We watched it again for the podcast. I sort of had like the opposite feeling. I did not dig this movie the whole time, except the end. I was like, okay, there's sort of like an interesting climax. Although I feel, I mean, we'll get into hot props for that. But from the get-go, I was like, this is so heavy-handed. I think the second review that you quoted was so accurate. Like, this movie does not trust its audience to understand or interpret anything at all. Why doesn't the screenwriter just stand here and talk to us for 2 hours? I found it almost unbearable. So... So I had some hot props with this movie.
I definitely have some hot props, but I probably like it the best out of everyone. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being too generous. I don't know why.
You don't have to explain yourself for your opinions, you know.
I definitely related to the sort of fantasy cutaways, especially projecting all of his therapy. You know, I just like, maybe not now, like I hopefully do this less now, but when I was younger, 100% did that shit.
That was actually one of my favorite parts, was the therapy, his therapies. I thought that was like very funny.
I guess you hated it. It's the first romantic movie I ever saw, so I figured it was about sharing something with her that I love that's romantic. Because
your feelings for her are romantic.
Margot is bright, Margot is sophisticated, she knows about movies, she goes for the subtitled stuff like Japanese films. Maybe she's just smarter than me.
And that's intimidating.
Honey, don't be sorry. I'm the one that's sorry.
You must think I'm such an idiot crying because I didn't get into a bar.
No. No, I don't think that at all.
I must look awful.
There was something about that cool, crisp, autumnal air and the tears rolling down her cheeks. She was just so open and so vulnerable and so incredibly sexy. She had never looked so beautiful.
What you were discovering in that moment was the depth of your longing.
Oh, 100%.
Because I didn't have any context for the real world, really, you know? It was just like... Alright, hold on a second. Hold for wind chimes.
Keep going.
It's okay.
Jane.
Sorry about that.
yeah, so I really liked the little fantasy cutaways, and I thought that was really accurate for her being so young and inexperienced. And just a lot of the little nuances of Emilia Jones's acting. I am very frustrated usually when they don't let actors act or like give them space to trust that they can convey what they want to convey. But I thought the cast was really great. I liked everybody. It's like a little side thing, but I loved her theater friends just because it kind of reminded me of my friends.
We changed, we're strangers. I'm meeting you in the woods. Who minds? What dangers? I hope we get past the woods.
Just all this singing and especially the happy birthday scene, because that literally is what happens every time we sing happy birthday in a group of friends is we just like try to be over the top and sing over each other and make it go as long as possible.
Happy birthday to you, hey! Happy birthday to you, hey! Happy birthday, dear Beth! Happy birthday to you!
I just had some happy feelings about it in a lot of ways. But let's talk hot props.
All right.
Just shut up. Hot props is on.
Oh shit, yeah.
Let's talk hot props. Well, I mean, my biggest hot prop is it just is just so heavy-handed. From the very beginning with the Margaret Atwood quote.
The quote, "Men are afraid that women will laugh at them. Women are afraid that men will kill them." Margaret Atwood.
I feel like there's two characters that exist totally as mouthpieces, like Isabella Rossellini.
Here is the queen, dead. The worker ants, they fought hard to defend the queen. They're all females.
Right.
Oh, you know that? Then perhaps you know that the males did nothing to defend the queen. But they dug their own grave, haven't they, Robert? Because a colony without the queen will die.
And then her friend Taylor is just like caricature.
Look, it doesn't matter what the text was, okay? I just don't want to play games with him.
Right, so you just rather expose your vulnerable soul to a fucking bearded giant? Seriously, this is me being supportive. He holds all the cards right now, so please, Margot, for the love of women, just take back your cards.
Like, here's how we're framing this. I think it's just very exhausting how it just hammers that home in such an unnecessary way. I don't know, I was just so put off by this movie. I'm not being specific enough or something, but it just was...
I definitely noticed Taylor saying a lot of themes and everything, but I also kind of felt like that is a person that exists. Especially a young college student.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I definitely think that's a person that exists. I agree with that for sure. But I think she's in this movie to make sure to hold our hands the whole way and make sure we know every way that the screenwriter wants you to interpret scenes.
Yeah.
You know? That's my biggest thing. There's smaller things. I think the climax scene, I feel like it makes no sense at the end that they're like unconscious but alive.
We got a pulse on both of them!
They would either be dead or they would be fine. Right? There's either oxygen or there's no oxygen.
Yeah.
Like Matt was watching that with me and he's like, I mean, a fire takes all the oxygen. Like they would be dead.
And that did seem like a concrete box in the ground, not like a ventilation system to the outside.
And also, they're unconscious. Like, why? Either there's plenty of air in there and they're fine, or you can't be like a little bit. It's like it's morning now, you know. Like what?
Mostly dead is safely alive.
Right.
Oh god. Yeah, that was weird. I kind of thought about it in more of a symbolic way, but they were kind of trying to go for realism in other areas of the movie, so it was incongruous with that.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. How could they have survived that in the end? And the Taylor character is definitely that. I felt like they were trying to say so much with her character and having these projections.
Dave and I, we barely knew each other when we joined Madrigals.
And look at you now. You're a character that doesn't even have their own name. You're just the baker's wife.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. My character doesn't have a name either. I'm just the baker.
At least you have a job.
So he goes, my username is Lady Talk, but my real name is James Adley. And I joined the Vigenda because I'm interested in women's issues and being a part of the solution. Look at that. He owned it. Are you defending this troll? Who says he's a troll? And people lurk in forums all the time with fake names. Bitch, perfect. Yeah, but that's clever and funny.
I thought it was kind of trying to say something about modern life and having these arguments or conversations with people online versus like being in the real world. In the beginning, Margot and Robert are having great text, and when they actually meet in person is when it all starts going downhill, it seems like.
And what did he really do that's so wrong? Except be bad in bed, and maybe lie about having cats. In a way, I kind of miss him.
Okay, my head is gonna explode.
Not the real Robert, obviously. But the guy I was texting with when we first met. I really like that guy.
Yeah, it's easy to like a text chain, it's not real.
So I thought I was trying to say something about that in some way.
Yeah, like how it is easier to be charming when you have time to edit and think about what you're going to say next. And especially when we didn't answer right away, we waited a while, we thought of the perfect thing to say. Like, it's basically your best version of yourself over text when you're initially meeting someone.
Yeah, and then like with the Lyft driver who was like her nemesis in her like Vagenda subreddit, it's like she meets him in person and he's actually like a cool person.
Taylor has been weeding out masked men on her subreddit, the Vagenda.
Wait, what's a masked man?
James Madley. Wait, did I tell you that he started this new subreddit that he's calling, wait for it, Man Feminist?
James Madley? Well, I know him. He's a super chill guy. He's in my comp lit.
That's kind of cute, actually, isn't it? You know, guys talking about feminism with other guys. It's progress.
Is it? Or is that just blind dudes leading even more blind dudes?
You should be a guest moderator on the sub.
Yeah, and then they'd at least have one female voice in there.
Yeah.
Progress.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. Let's just reward him for lying.
Taylor, why don't you let me take you home? I won't charge you.
I think you might already know me. I'm bitch perfect.
It's nice to finally meet you.
I don't know, I felt like that was relatable because I remember, you know how like there are just some people that you're friends with on Facebook and they seem like they're so inflammatory or, I don't know, just you don't really know them super well but you're connected with them and then you meet them in person and they're actually kind of
That's
fun,
definitely a thing that people will say
Yeah.
things online to like even their friend that like you would never say to someone's face. You know,
Yeah.
like you have that detachment. Remember when Facebook first became a thing and like my next door neighbor was like such a dick on Facebook. Like and he was such a nice guy and we're like, it was like Clay.
Yeah. Because that's so weird. Like, people seem to think that online spaces, you can't be held accountable for them.
Well, I think
We've
it's
proven
just,
time and time again. That
it's at a, like a level of mob mentality. And also that it is truly not to someone's face. It's definitely easier. It's weird.
Yeah.
I did also feel like it was very silly. Like, why is the Lyft driver that guy?
Yeah.
That's like, I feel like a goofy plot point for no reason.
Well, they did mention earlier.
He's a Lyft driver.
Yes, the orange car that's always parked outside the North Gate.
So at least it wasn't like a total random. Like, she went to that spot to get a lift. I don't know why she didn't just get another lift or whatever, but
Well, I think it's also, it's like the very heavy-handedness of the ending is like, see, you don't always know, like, you have to turn to each other, maybe, you know, I mean, her getting there, it's not like she did anything.
Yeah.
Like,
except hold the animals at the end.
I thought it was that they were trying to say something about projecting these ideas onto people or something when it's not totally... I don't know, maybe that's relating to the canon question or something, but I felt like the Margot character she kind of confused me in some parts. I mean, it seemed like when they started meeting in person, it was such a, why is she going with this? But I really did like the sex scene. I thought that was really good with like her,
really well done.
like her other self.
Hey, do we want to do this? We did, before. So tell them we've changed our mind. It was our idea to come here. We made a mistake. We can still fix it. And what will we say that won't be messy and hurtful? We tell them the truth. We should be allowed to do that. It's just easier to get it over with.
Oh my God.
See? He's grateful. And that's the part of this that's, you know, good. I'm sorry, which part of this is good? Not like how much he wants us. He's clearly overwhelmed by how young and pretty we are, by our smooth skin, our perfect breasts. Yeah, I'm not saying it in a bragging way. I'm just saying, you know, look how much he wants us. Oh, that noise is getting really annoying. Do you think we can ask him stuff? Oh, so now you're ready to be honest. Oh God, I was getting a condom. Mom will be happy. I don't want to think about Mom right now. Yeah, because you know you shouldn't be doing this. It's not what you want. Say, I have changed my mind. We're in a strange house with a guy we don't know. Who knows what he could do if I really piss him off? If you think this guy could hurt you, then why are you here?
And that Reddit thread that you sent about some woman saying, watching it made me think about paranoia. You become paranoid that this guy is going to harm her, and then she ends up breaking into his garage. The stalky becomes the stalker. But yeah, I thought it was heavy-handed with all the movies. You hear the narrator like, this crazy woman, the man who controls her.
You will cringe as the demented doctor experiments with a girl's trusting innocence. A mad creature born of the atomic age, now shackled to a world of rotting bodies and violent death.
They're like trailers from 50s drive-in movies.
Yeah. The Queen Bee metaphor.
That was a lot.
We were watching it and I'm like, do you think this is a metaphor? Oh my God.
What she was saying about the bee has sex and then it dies or something after it has
The queen has sex with the male bee and the male bee dies.
Do you think she was offered up as a sacrifice?
The Tomb of the Bulls was in the business of death. Torture, sacrifice, and of course eroticism.
Well, all that happened to her. Hope she was reincarnated as an ant.
Better yet, in a queen bee. When the male penetrates the queen, he loses his penis. In the act of pulling out, he gets disemboweled and dies. The act of copulation is their doom.
There's a lot of those message drop kind of moments.
I think the reason that I didn't flag that as heavy-handed the first time we saw it is because Isabella Rossellini has a little series on insects that she did called Green Porto, and it's about the mating rituals of insects.
I would have many brothers, and we would do nothing, just waiting to have sex. I would mate her in flight. It's our nuptial flight. But pulling out from her, my penis would break off. It would get stuck in her vagina like a cork in a bottle, but it would prevent other males from mating with her. She will be queen. She would start a new colony with my babies, but I would die.
And so I kind of felt like, oh, that's why they got her for it's like she's doing her green porno thing. Then this last time I was like, oh, yeah, it's a little much, but... And then just like the coincidence of the glass being right behind the door and like, is it always there? Because if the door can swing open and hit the glass, it seems like something they would have flagged already. If she's been caring for this colony for 17 years or whatever she says. Like, she would probably want to think about where she put it in the lab.
I really wish I had known, like, whether he closed the door or if the door just closed.
I think he closed it.
Why did you shut the door?
I didn't. It shut on its own.
Doors don't just shut.
No, I guess this one did. It must have slipped from the thing that was holding it. I think it's locked. Or I did it on purpose. Because I'm actually a werewolf.
Good idea for a series of the fourplex werewolf movies.
And the filing cabinet scene from The Howling, that's about to happen right now.
I just meant a door doesn't just shut or lock on its own. You sure you didn't close it?
Just let me, okay?
I think he did close it because he thought it would be romantic, and then he saw she didn't like it, and so he was like, oh fuck, I need to open the door, and then he started panicking. Was my interpretation of the scene. He seemed like a guy that's just really awkward for the most part. I don't know, there was Reddit people were like, he's obviously autistic, and I'm like, I don't know if I can say what obviously autistic looks like, but he definitely has some social anxiety issues.
I thought he was pretty insecure, and then he has these ideas. This was going to be our story at our wedding.
And maybe if you'd liked me, like I thought you did, you would have found that romantic and not, not creepy, and it could have been our story. The fucking origin story that our best man would have told at our wedding.
Wow, that's a lot to put on.
Well, I thought that was interesting because she was doing the same thing in her head.
Tell me about the kiss.
I know this is your hour and I'm crashing.
Go on.
To be honest, it's hard to believe a grown man can be this bad at kissing. But at the same time, I suddenly felt a tenderness, I guess you'd call it. I mean, here he is, older than me, and yet already I know so much more about kissing than he does.
Hey. But was that a tenderness, Margot? Or was that sensation a shift in the power dynamics between you two? A shift that wound up in your favor?
They were both similar, but it was detrimental to the relationship because of it. But I guess that was kind of heavy-handed also.
It seemed like, I think Nicholas Braun was like such perfect casting for this.
I do think
like,
both leads were so well cast.
Yeah.
They were so good, and he just nails that guy who maybe like doesn't have a lot of experience with relationships or have like a natural comfort level with romantic situations, and everything he did was just so unnatural seeming. And then like I just kept noticing, they get out of the movie, basically there's no vibe between them. She wants to go home. I guess she senses that maybe he's like discouraged or something like that. There are many parts in this where I feel like she was doing this emotional labor of like, oh, that's a great idea, or no, I love this, let's try this, or let's go here, or whatever.
What's up?
Nothing. Just tired.
I'm sorry. I guess you hated it. It's the first romantic movie I ever saw, so I figured...
You don't have to apologize for the movie. There were lots of great moments in it. Like when Leia says, I love you, and Han says...
I know.
Yeah. Classic, right?
Han.
Han?
I said Han.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that.
It was a good idea. And a drink is an even better idea.
Okay. Now we're talking.
He needs her to do that in order to like go forward and to feel secure. And that kind of stuff I related to, like being that age and going on dates. And there's just so much of that, I don't know, trying to make their ideas seem so cool. Or like as a young person, I was socialized to like be pleasant and make everybody feel comfortable. And
there was a little bit of
particularly
background for
guys,
that.
very relatable. And then the sex scene too, I was like, wow, I've never seen this kind of conversation like with the self, and like it doesn't make any sense, but she decides she's gonna have sex with him because he would really like it, and I think he would be grateful.
He's a terrible kisser. Why are we even having this conversation?
Because maybe the sex would be like the kiss. You know, clumsy and sort of mauling.
You can hear yourself now, right?
But on the other hand, I think he'd be grateful.
Margot.
I know that sounds really bad, but yeah, I think you would like it.
Listen to me. Call Lyft now.
I feel like
it's a little narcissistic.
Yeah, I feel like in the short story it comes across a little more clear. That's kind of a turn on to her. He's going to be like, look how young and hot and perfect your body is. And she's kind of turned on by that, you know. And I think it does do a good job of like, she kind of likes him, you know. He's awkward but kind of endearing. He's mostly nice. They're both like a little mean to each other at first. I mean, she starts out by insulting his red vines. Like he's kind of good looking, kind of awkward. I think they did a good job with that dynamic between them, because you don't want him to be like so gross that it's like, well, why would she even go out with him at all?
Yeah, there has to be a reason that she keeps sticking around.
Right. I mean, especially like she gets in her own way by not being more straightforward. You know, she could just say, I don't want to go on a date where I work. You know?
Yeah.
Like she says it to herself, like, oh, that's my work.
Yeah.
Okay, you know, I mean, it's not some sinister reasoning for him, right? She could just say that, right?
Yeah. I didn't think it was like necessarily narcissistic of her, but I kind of interpreted it as like a people pleaser thing.
Yeah.
Trying to think of reasons to go through with it.
Yeah,
even
like,
though
it's,
she doesn't
oh,
want
it's
to.
no big deal, and he'll be so grateful. or
Right.
whatever.
I think that's why they have the whole scene of her at home doing the song with her mom.
Why not? It'll make him so happy. Because I don't want to sing tonight. And it's a dumb song.
It's something that girls your age don't understand.
Here we go. Girls my age.
Yes, girls your age. I don't know. You're so self-involved. You're so entitled. I mean, is it your birthday or is it Ernie's birthday?
Are you serious? I just said I didn't want to sing the song. It's weird. It's uncomfortable.
Oh, well, you know what? Things aren't always 100% comfortable. Get over it. You know, I get it. If you don't want to sing, we won't sing.
Pairing off a game of golf. I need make a play for the caddy. But when I do, I don't follow through. Cause my heart belongs to Daddy.
I think that was meant to establish that she does stuff she doesn't want to do all the time.
It is like a relatable scene, sort of. I don't see it as like people pleaser so much as sometimes you kind of want to, you know?
Yeah.
And I think she does genuinely kind of want to. You know, she kind of likes him. She's kind of attracted to him. You know, she was like genuinely upset and felt very dumb about being underage.
I thought you said you were older.
I told you I was a sophomore.
No, you told me that you did like a gap year. So, what the fuck?
I'm sorry.
Honey, don't be sorry. I'm the one that's sorry.
You must think I'm such an idiot crying because I didn't get into a bar.
No. No, I don't think that at all.
I can see like it's a very embarrassing moment. She's like, I'm on a date with like a real grown-up, you know?
Yeah.
And I look like a stupid kid. And he's nice about it. Like she kind of wants to, and she's kind of talking herself into it.
She just wants to see, like...
Just see what it's
I
like.
mean,
And he does have
yeah.
these flashes of nurturing that pop out. Although they are very Harrison Ford coded, which is kind of funny. But I think that she likes those things. Like when that happens, she's like into it. But it just isn't consistent.
They finish and like he's gonna go to the bathroom and he just like honks her boob before he goes, and I'm just like, oh, and then he says "good girl."
Yeah, he says
and
"girl"
that was
a lot.
just so
Yeah.
I was just
Yeah.
like barf.
He calls her a girl a lot. Yeah. That's something I definitely noticed.
Yeah. And I think that the Harrison Ford, all that was like a message too. I don't know. I remember the whole discourse about the Star Wars scene and all that.
Stop it.
Stop what?
Stop that. My hands are dirty.
My hands are dirty too. What are you afraid of?
Afraid?
You're trembling.
I'm not trembling.
Let me revisit the scoundrel. Ernest scoundrel in your life.
I happen to like nice men.
Nice man.
Very nice.
I mean, it wasn't just the scene, it was the real life relationship between Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher, which was happening, that she writes about in The Princess Diaries. She was 19 years old. She's very, very generous in the book, actually. I pursued it, I was a young kid, blah, 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 blah. But, like, he would be so mean to her on set every day. So she'd be like, I guess he hates me now. And then it would wrap and he'd be like, so you're coming back to my place, right? So it was kind of abusive environment. It wasn't just like he ignored her or was regular professional. He was like actually actively nagging her all day long. That was a kind of a shitty dynamic that she had to endure. So I think that the parallels were being drawn there as well.
Yeah.
It's kind of a meta parallel, but if you know, you know, I guess.
Yeah. I feel like there were a lot of those, hidden meaning behind everything. Or not so.
I don't know how.
Yeah.
I was really into this scene. Oh wait, there's more.
Wow, it's a montage.
The Blade Runner?
Yeah, classic scene. Rachel tries to run, Deckard throws her against the blinds, forces her to say, "Kiss me," and then shoves his mouth on hers, and then she falls in love. Last Crusade, Indiana berates Elsa, forces himself on her, and then she says, "How dare you kiss me?" And then, of course, she kisses him.
I guess this is just Robert's idea of romance.
Was this Robert's idea of romance? I got it. Thank you.
Yeah, and he has a picture from the scene in his apartment. That was a little overboard. He doesn't need that. He already has told her it's his favorite actor and blah, blah, and then he wants her to watch. Okay, here's just a contextual hot prop.
What do you want to do now? You want to watch a movie? I must have something with subtitles. Actually, I think I have a bootleg Working Girl from Belgium with English. Sorry. It's okay.
What kind of self-professed cinephile watches a movie on a laptop in their house? Like, he didn't have a movie set up. I'm like, that's disgusting. I'm sorry. John Waters has a thing where he's like, if you go home to someone's house and they don't have any books, don't fuck them. If I go to someone's house and they've been talking about movies and then they're like, let's watch a movie on a laptop, bye.
Yeah.
You don't have a TV? Come on. And it was like some shitty dub of Working Girl.
That was weird. Why did he have that?
Well, there was a hot prop that I discovered in my research, which was about Alexis Nowicki. The broad strokes of that were that Roupenian did date the robber proxy, but it was later. She was older, and he was older. But he talked about this girl he dated that was very young. And she looked her up on Insta and kind of stalked her and found information, and she asked him about it. So she was basically telling someone else's story and pretending it was her story. When Nowicki confronted her about it, she said, she was sorry and she'd apologized to Robert too. And she said, I never expected it to get published. But it's like, if you are submitting stuff to the New Yorker, you want it to be published. You're hoping for it to be published. This is pretty irresponsible storytelling. She didn't change anything apparently, except the name. Literally the name of the theater is the same theater that Alexis Nowicki worked at. And there were just too many very, very specific details that were in a wiki story, not Roupenian's. So that's pretty fucked up. Yeah. I don't care for that.
And then the Robert guy died by suicide?
I mean, I guess
I
it
couldn't
was
confirm
reckless
that.
to say. The article just officially said he died suddenly during 2020.
And they mentioned that he was on antidepressants.
Right.
And he
So
had
that
issues.
That was how I interpreted that, but can't confirm or deny.
Yes. And then my general hot prop that I always have about movies with best friends, where they have to have a fight at a very pivotal moment, and then they're separated. That's just so cliche.
Although they should have a fight, because Taylor has this brand of feminism, which I'm putting in quotes, that acts like a woman has no agency as in a helpless little baby, and she's instructing her on how to text with him, and she's being an asshole. She's being totally controlling,
Yeah.
Wait, you're setting clear text boundaries, right?
Oh my god, Taylor.
I'm dead serious.
I won't double text,
Don't
okay?
double text
I got
ever. And let one text at least go unanswered a day. Okay, he needs to understand that you're setting the rules, and he's lucky you're acknowledging his existence.
I get it. What's weird though is whenever he hints about getting together again.
Seriously? The buzzer? Somebody's gotta stop you.
I could really use some support here.
What is going on? Why are you always against me recently?
Nobody is against you. Although I'm also saying that sometimes you make it really hard for me to be for you.
Oh, really? Oh, well, I'm always there for you.
You're only there for me when I agree with you.
I ground you. Do you understand that? I'm always trying to protect you. Because I understand the real world and you don't.
It's like the friend version of boy meets girl, boy loses, girl, boy gets good. It does always happen in this formulaic way, but things aren't working great, I don't feel, between the
they
dynamic
should have
of
had
the
a
friendship.
conversation. I just get annoyed by it being and then she goes and does this dangerous thing, and then she has to go find her construct for the story.
Well, also, I don't understand why Margot has never asked Robert what he does.
Yes, I know. There's that whole montage about that. He's I was busy at work, and she's imagining all these different professions.
I don't understand that. You're texting all the time.
Why not at that moment say, "Oh, I never asked you what you do," or whatever.
I'm gonna get the workers' comp. You do it too, you crazy son of a bitch. Mikey, why don't I hear you shucking oysters? Come on.
She always seemed to act like it was too late to ask any personal questions about him.
Yeah, and that he was 33. And then he was like, I didn't want to tell you or something, or I thought it would turn you off.
Right.
How old are you?
$33.
33.
Yeah, is that a problem?
No, it's not a problem.
You sure?
Yeah?
Okay. I mean, I was gonna tell you, but I wasn't sure how you'd take it. Okay.
There's a funny set design in his house. He has those like tragic plaid curtains. I did not like those curtains. And then he had like a couple books. One just said football on it. It's a book of football. And then I was wondering about the whole cat situation. Turns out he does have cats. He says he has cats and he has these conversations where he, makes up scenarios and everything. But she goes to his house and she never sees the cats. And then it turns out that they were locked in the basement. For some reason, that didn't track to me. Like, someone who has cats that they love so much that they make up stories about them, why wouldn't he be like, you should meet my cats? Or like...
Right.
It did seem like he was pretending to be more of a cat guy than he was, even though he did literally have cats, you know what I mean?
I loved how at the bar where she sees him and she's like, oh no, I gotta leave. Like, all of her friends know who that guy is. They're like, oh, that's the guy who said he has cats. But he doesn't.
Yeah, that was like they remembered about it.
Yeah.
It's him. What? It's who? Oh my god, he really is hooked.
Who? Him? Don't Oh, it's the guy from the theater. Yeah, I told you about that whole debacle, remember?
Right.
I don't know if you saw me.
The guy who said he had cats and didn't have cats.
Yeah.
In the end.
I did think it was so funny when they were like, let's be really normal.
Come on. Come on, guys, get up. Yes. Okay, no, surround her. Everyone just be subtle and normal. Which one is...
And they like do the least normal thing and surround her as they walk out. I thought that was very funny. I also really did not like what Isabella Rossellini's character said when she like surprises Margot.
Sorry, scared me.
Well, people choose to be scared.
I really don't like that line of thinking where it's like, okay, I guess that's literally true, but it's not the spirit of the thing. People aren't like, I want to be scared right now. It happens. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just say, I'm sorry I scared you, or what, I don't know what. I just thought that was a weird thing to say, and I've just heard that kind of argument from people who just like to be difficult.
Like, she wants to have sex with him because she had just come from her parents' house and her ex-boyfriend said he was asexual or something. And I felt like she was probably... I mean, even though he's like, it has nothing to do with you. But, like, later that night, that's when she sends, like, the sexy pic.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember when we were together just how, like, out of my body I was, how I could never really, like, enjoy sex? So I thought I must be gay. And so then I tried that, and then that was just, like, even weirder, and it felt awful. So then I looked it up, and it turns out that being asexual is like a real thing. Since then I've just felt this relief because I finally don't have to pretend to like sex anymore. But it's not like it was because of like you. If you'd been the hottest girl in the world, I would have still been like, and not that you're not that you're, because you are.
Like, I get it.
Okay.
Stop looking mortified.
Maybe it was just like she had, I don't know, wanting to be...
She wanted to prove something.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, she definitely had, like, insecurity issues that are pretty normal for a 20-year-old to have.
Yeah.
That I thought rang true. I mean, I definitely understand why she went through with sleeping with him. That all tracked very much for me. And her age and everything that she'd done up to that point. And especially with the texting, because they really did have such a good rapport over the texts.
Yeah.
She just wanted him to suddenly be like that. She's like, well, maybe if I fuck him, he'll be like that. Or maybe, you know, if I stick around or do all these things, he'll suddenly become that person that he was in the text. It just never happens.
Yeah. The texting rules that Taylor gives her, it's like very eye-rolly, but
yeah.
She was like, don't double text. And then, like, I noticed every time, like, after that, I'm like, oh, they're double texting or whatever. I've definitely had that feeling. If you're really into somebody, and you text them, but then they don't text you back. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like you keep texting or something.
Oh, no, totally.
Maybe if I text again, they'll reply, or...
Maybe I didn't quite sell it enough. I need to say something else to, like, make them excited to text me back kind of thing. Yeah, I get that. I mean, it sounds silly when you say it out loud, but I get it. I totally understand those little guidelines. They're more of guidelines than rules, I guess.
Right.
Like, obviously, if you're, in a relationship, it's ridiculous. But for early courtship stuff, when you just don't know someone very well, it is so easy to misconstrue a text.
It is.
You just want to make sure that's not happening. It's hard. It's such a difficult thing that we didn't used to have to deal with.
Right.
Right, but then it used to be, don't call him.
Yeah.
Do you remember, like, the book, The Rules?
I remember that people
And that was
talking
one
about
of the rules, was always be the one to end the phone call.
Yeah.
Don't call 2 days in a row, I think. I don't know. I worked in a bookstore when that book was out.
Yeah.
So. It's like basically Taylor is doing the rules, but feminist or something. It's still the rules. It's still pretty much exactly that.
Oh, also, was it her mom that says, if you want a relationship with a man, make peace with a little compromise?
Oh, yeah, Hope Davis.
And you know what? If you want to get along with a man and not be alone your whole entire life and build a relationship that actually lasts, make peace with a little discomfort now and then, a little compromise. Okay? I wish I had known that the first time around with your father.
Mom.
He thought he wasn't my number one, and there's a few things I should have done to let him know.
Mom, it's not your fault he left.
Saying relationship with a man makes it a problem, but I was like, that's kind of just like true about life. Like, you can't have everything your way all the time. Like, if you want to get along with people, you do have to compromise. And it was portrayed as such a like, no fucking way.
Right.
Don't ever compromise. Like, well, I mean, if you love someone, they'll compromise for you too. That's a give and take thing.
I thought a lot of what happened on that home visit was, like, kind of dumb. I mean, again, I feel the screenwriter is like, okay, so I want you to see what her role model of womanhood was from her mother.
Yeah.
You know, like, okay, thank you.
And her dad, and how he like is kind of a diva. And he wants the song. It's so gross. Okay, that's another hot prop. Marco's like, I don't want to sing it because I'm his daughter, but her mom shouldn't sing it either. No one should sing My Heart Belongs to Daddy. It's a gross song.
Yeah.
No one should ever sing it.
And
Right, but again, Hope Davis is the one saying, oh, he wants it so much, he's going to love it. And we don't know that he actually does. You know, we get that right after, like, they have to melt the ice sculpture that she had made because he's going to love this, and he very explicitly doesn't want it. So it's like...
That's true.
Who was that really for? Like, there's no indication that he especially wants this performance.
Right, and she has her party planner assistant or whatever. It seems like maybe it was all her idea and that's her role or whatever that she wants to be. You know, in the end, she's like, that's not comfortable for me to sing that. And then the mom goes off on like the compromise. I felt like she was trying to kind of guilt trip her. She like put the sheet music down and was like, fine, nobody sings this or whatever. And it's like, obviously she's going to be like, oh, come on, I'll do it. Or,
Yeah.
you know, like that kind of, that's what I was imagining happened next.
Because they do just smash cut to it. I like that kind of edit in general. There's no way I'm doing that, and then you see them doing it.
I thought it was funny how her mom was like, I talk to women at the gym, and I know what's up.
Marilyn Monroe sang this song.
Yeah, well, things have changed a little since Marilyn.
Oh, you know, don't make me tired. I read, I talk to the girls at the gym. Yeah, things have changed on the surface, which means they haven't really changed at all. It's something that girls your age don't understand.
I thought it was interesting. She was saying, like, things haven't changed, basically. I don't know. I guess I can kind of see that. Me Too is, like, a distant memory, it seems like, and...
There's peaks and valleys, it seems like that.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, but it's definitely like the way we talk to young people about sex has changed enormously.
Yeah,
that's true.
You know.
Yeah, I would hope so. I mean, yeah, we live in Seattle and it's like so different here than other places.
Yeah, there's definitely like the trad wife revival or whatever is going on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I do think that like if this takes place in whenever the story came out, then her mom would have been a much older person. Like, well, her dad's turning 60, so they were like boomers, basically. Even though she seems too young to be the child of a boomer. But yeah, I don't know. It just seemed like they were still kind of going with that mentality. It has gotten a little bit better, I think. Oh, I guess my one other hot raw was that, like, the cop made so much sense. I was like, hey, Cab, like, everything she said seemed true. She was like, you're going to say he didn't break the law, and it's like, he didn't, though.
Right. And this was last night after he sent the text where he called you a whore.
Yeah, the text was last night, and then tonight he harassed me when he waited for me outside.
He waited? I thought he drove off.
After standing there for 10 minutes.
Did he approach you?
Not physically, but he could see me. Actually, I'm not sure if he could see me through the doors, but he knows my hours, so you're gonna say he didn't break the law.
He didn't break the law.
Okay, but I also don't want to be the next episode of Homicide Hunter. A harassing predator singles out young woman, pursues her, cops ignore her complaints until she's found in a trash bin behind the local Kroger's.
Or, the story goes, average Joe likes young pussy. Gets frustrated when she doesn't like him back, drinks too much, calls her a bad name. Drives to her work to try to plead his case, chickens out, and figures next time he'll pick a less hot girl. But if Robert actually does do something to break the law and you can prove it, come find me. Stop watching Homicide Hunter.
You cannot really call the cops because someone went to the movies, you know?
Yeah.
Any other hot prods?
I think we got them all.
All right. We found every single one of them.
Next call.
So what did we like about it?
Okay, well, we already said the casting.
It's true. I did like their initial meeting because she's kind of awkward in her own way, right? Like, she thinks she's flirting with him when she makes the Red Vines comment, and he's not pleased about it.
I don't think I've actually ever seen someone buy Red Vines.
Okay.
I guess you're wondering why we sell them then? Nobody buys them.
Thanks.
And then she texts her friend, before she even talks to him, she texts Taylor about how he looks like the best friend in the Apatow movie. Which is funny, but it's also casually cruel in a way that only people of that age can be sometimes. Look at that asshole. Whatever, you know.
I liked all the text conversations. Sometimes texts aren't like entertaining for me to watch in a movie, but like I like the way that they did that with their cute like banter.
I think that's very challenging for modern filmmaking because so much of how we communicate is this, you know, and it's like, this is not really entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
Oh, I did like when he was such a bad kisser, and it was like, it's hard to believe a grown man can be this bad at kissing.
Yeah, I had somebody I thought of in that scene as well.
Definitely. Like, you're a full adult.
You think when you're dating an older person, it's like, oh, they're going to teach me some stuff. And it's like, wait, what the fuck is going on right
his,
now?
like, hand was around her neck.
So
like,
every
around her
time he
throat.
kissed her, he was doing Harrison Ford kissing moves. Like, Harrison Ford is a real head grabber, face grabber, neck grabber. Indiana Jones movies and Star Wars. Like, that's... And maybe other things, too. So he was very much doing, this is how I learned to do this. But then Harrison Ford doesn't swallow the face of the other person, though. So he, for some reason, stopped learning at that point. But the grabbing, it has, like, a twinge of patronizing.
Yeah, he was going like this. Like, it was just like, wow.
All right, some people like that. I like a grabby kisser. I like that a lot, all of that.
No,
Everything
I mean, yeah, I guess I just was like...
No, I know. I think it's
like,
there for a reason. I think what it's getting at is he doesn't realize how intimidating he can be because he is this awkward person, you know?
Yeah.
So in his mind, she's this young, pretty girl. Like, she's got all the power.
Yeah.
Like, I think they do a good job shooting him. He's so big, you know. He's so
He's
tall.
very tall.
Like, sometimes the camera's like on the floor. And it's like, you know, like, I think that's intentional. He doesn't realize that he comes across like this big, strong, powerful, kind of scary man. You know.
Yeah.
Like, he is that kind of guy. You know, you tell him that thing you did was scary to me. They're genuinely like, what? Like, how could I be scary to you?
Right.
This is something I have thought about a lot, especially when, you know, Me Too was happening. Like, men, like, across the spectrum of, like, the good ones and the bad ones, they all know what they would never do. Like, some men might yell at you and get in your face, but they would never hit you. Or some men would, whatever, you know, like, a man knows what he would absolutely never do, you know? And I think what happens is that they assume you know that about them. And they're like, how could you even think that of me? You know? So I think that's an element that's happening there. You know, he doesn't think anything of shutting the door because he's not going to do anything to her. It just, like, doesn't even occur to him. To him, like, if this is people in a room, what are you talking about? And to her, this is, like, a potentially terrifying incident.
Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah, totally. Like, the way he sees himself is a way that you'll never be able to see the way a woman sees him. It was really funny to me, though, how, like, I don't even remember the context. Margot was saying, like, oh, he sucks in all these different ways, but he's so tall.
He's so cute, right?
Ish. He's like super tall. I like tall.
I love tall.
You cannot deny that
one. He's pretty tall. It was interesting. I've never seen an interview with Nicholas Braun before, and he always plays weirdos, you know. Or, isn't he the boyfriend in Zola?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And he's like a different kind of awkward dork. He's really funny in that, too. He's like just a regular dude in an interview. It's just nice sometimes to see, oh, you're actually really are such a good actor. Like, you're,
oh my god, I
he's
love
really
him
great
in Succession. Yeah. He's cousin Greg, and he's like got that same awkwardness. Like it's so perfect.
Well, and he's gonna be Jim Henson in the and
Andy
Kaufman for some reason.
Both. Yeah, he's in the trailer. He's very funny.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah,
that's gonna be good. I don't know. Really
I feel like it's gonna be good.
Also, the Georgie from May Decembers.
Oh, right.
Is Chevy Chase.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Which I'm excited about because I thought that guy is so good.
And Rachel Sennett is in it.
Yeah, I'm not even sure exactly who she's supposed to be, but she looks.
I don't know if she's supposed to be like a famous person or just someone like working on the show.
Yeah, she looks crazy hot in the trailer for 1 second.
She's great.
Oh, but a fun fact about him is that he adopted the 2 cats at the end after the movie wraps.
That is fun.
Because he really is a cat person.
Sweet.
Yeah, that's the other thing that doesn't make sense. Not just that she doesn't see the cats, but that dog was his dog, and how come she didn't see the dog?
That
when
is
she was
weird.
there?
Like where does he put his animals?
Right, like what's happening?
I'm a little worried about his animal care, because he had his cats locked in the basement with like a fire hazard space heater, apparently. It's a good thing they got out, but yeah, like that is pretty weird. He has too many pets for a very busy working nurse. That's a bit of a problem. Your dog just roaming the streets at night.
I can buy if you go to someone's house and you don't know they have a cat. Some cats, someone comes over, they're gone, you know.
Yeah.
But like, you didn't know he had a dog either. That's less common that you can go to someone's house and not learn they have a dog.
And it seems like it's because the dog was just like roaming around. Like, that's weird.
Yeah.
It's not responsible pet ownership.
I've already started underlining meaningful passages in her copy of Moby Dick, if you know what I mean.
I'm sure we've already said a couple. Hard to believe a grown man can be this bad at kissing.
I like Taylor when they're weapon shopping, even though that's kind of an annoying scene, but the thing that needs to be charged.
The Vipertech VTS 989, what we got here, is our bestseller. Fully rechargeable.
No, that's not going to work. She's at 4% with her phone on a good day.
She's at 4% on her phone on a good day.
That was funny. I know my friend.
I like when they're at the party in the bar, and I guess Taylor doesn't want to be there. Something about like being a mime.
This is fun. There's no costumes or mime makeup this year. I could be a mime. I'm trapped at a party. Look, if you want to go, just leave.
I heard that. No. No one is leaving.
Dave's still setting up the karaoke room.
There was good Fred banter. I enjoyed all the Fred banter. I really liked the Damn, I Wish I Was Your Lover was playing in the weapons store. I thought that was really, that's just a funny little juxtaposition. And that's, you know, there's something to that of trying to buy a weapon to protect yourself, but you don't want to get a gun because of all the statistics, and it's just like there's just no good options.
Right.
How about men just stop murdering women? How about that?
Well, I mean, she genuinely did not need a weapon to protect herself from Robert.
Not
like,
from
he
Robert,
was not,
you know. But I get just being paranoid in general. Mm-hmm. I did feel like all of the moments of patronization from him were good. They really tracked with sort of getting to know someone and being into them 1 second, and then the next second they make fun of you for thinking an Indiana Jones movie is called The Shrine of Doom. He says that's ridiculous when she doesn't know the name of the movie. Like, come on.
He's like, name an Indiana Jones movie, and then he like times her. What he's like, 3, 2, 1, and it's like, jeez.
Right.
It happened in the end where the guy like asked her out at the movie theater, but like Robert's like, concession stand girl.
Yeah.
Why don't you give me your number? And then like the exact same thing happens in the end.
So, fun fact about American Graffiti. Mackenzie Phillips was 12 when she made that film. She probably violated child labor laws, but she is really funny. You know, precocious for 12.
Yeah, listen, concession stand girl. Why don't you give me your number?
Hey, girl who should see the apartment. Why don't you give me your number?
Why don't you give me your number seems a little different than like, hey, can I get your number or something, you know? I don't know.
Or here's my number.
Right, exactly.
Still, I feel like that tracks for kind of awkward cinephile dudes who
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
are older and they're like, just all the girl nicknames. He also calls her Homo habilis girl
Right.
and college girl. And she is. I mean, she's a young woman.
Yeah.
Compared to him, she is a girl. So it's a little strange that he does all of that and is still like, we need to date and you have the upper hand.
Right.
I really like calling where he lives the alphabet streets. I'd never heard that before. You kind of know exactly what that means, you know? It's just a certain kind of area of a neighborhood. I live in the alphabet streets of Tacoma.
What else does a suicide need, huh? Now, if you'll excuse me.
Did y'all think that the way it all escalated at the end was very unrealistic as well? Everybody believes the woman, and I can't like.
I mean, that was another clunky line.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that was very melodramatic.
Why am I inside your house?
You were trying to put a tracker on my car. Because apparently you want to see me in jail.
This is insane. I'm just gonna go.
You're not gonna go. You're not going anywhere. Not until I have a plan, until I figure out how to fix this total, god-awful, disastrous mess you put us in. If I let you out of here looking like that, you're probably gonna get your wish and I'm gonna go to jail. No matter what I say about what happened here. Everybody believes the woman.
Trust me, they don't.
I don't know, maybe Ambien mixed with Klonopin, and I just dose you and I drop you off on campus and you don't remember how you got there and it'd be as if this whole hideous nightmare never happened.
That is not a good plan.
Well, because there is no good plan. If you walk out of here looking like that, it's over for me.
Again, like so heavy-handed. Yeah, the like everybody believes the woman. Come on. Especially like he is a nurse, right? Like what has he seen?
He should have seen some shit.
Right, right. I don't know. What did you think of that scene? Like the escalation and everything?
It definitely seemed crazy, but also I was like, I guess this could happen. Because these two people are in such a high... Like, he would be scared because he found her in his house, and she would be scared because he found her in his house. You know, like, they were both scared for similar reasons, but having a different experience. It was just an interesting thought experiment, I guess, when someone's falsely accused of stalking, but the other person's... Like, he still does have power, like physical power. He's just doing self-defense, but he ends up knocking her into something and she hits her head because he's defending himself and she gets the most hurt.
Did he, like, hit her head or something?
He, like, pushes her and she hits her head.
Because when she was sitting on the chair and he's talking to her after, it looked like there was, like, a towel with a bunch of blood.
She hit her head on something in the garage.
Oh.
It's not so believable to me. You know, it's like, well, this is an awkward situation.
Yeah.
He's in a little bit of a predicament, you know. I don't buy that he'd be like, you can't leave. That feels more contrived for this story, you know. I feel like that character really would just be like, fuck. I don't really buy that he would be literally like entrapping her in the house.
Yeah. I did think it was interesting when they were having kind of a conversation as well as a confrontation where he was explaining why he had come around and like checked her out ahead of time.
You were stalking me!
I was stalking you? What, a guy can't see a pretty girl and want to meet her? Okay, yeah, so I followed you, but only so I could run into you. I mean, is that a bad thing? Am I some kind of bad guy because I want to fucking meet a girl? I want to meet a girl in life and not on a fucking app? I don't want to meet him through my screen? Am I such a bad guy?
Am I a bad guy? Because I want to meet someone in real life.
Right.
And how he says that he went through 156, like he literally says the amount of texts. I went through 156 texts saying you're into me.
Break is boring. Good news will be in same zip code again soon with 2 thumbs up. You remember saying that? Thank you for being so kind last night. You're my new favorite person. Today, you are my first text and my last. Let's make this every day with 3 question marks and a blushing face with little hearts. I went through all the texts. There's 156 texts that say, I'm into you, Robert. I like you, Robert. Why did you say them if you don't mean them? And why'd you let me blubber on like some lovesick asshole when you obviously loathe me?
I don't loathe you.
Stop lying.
And that's like how he spiraled out when he was drinking.
Right.
And obviously that part all is from the short story, that text thread, and that really tracks.
Well, what really happened in the story? There wasn't like a fire or anything.
No.
Like
The
that.
story ends a few months later, and she and her friends see him across the bar, that scene, and then he texts her, "Oh, I saw you, I know I'm not supposed to text you." You know, all of that happens in the story, and that's the end of the story. Where the text starts out like, "Oh, I miss you, it's good to see you. Why don't you just tell me what I did? Who was that guy you were with? Are you fucking him? Are you fucking that? How many, you know?" Then he texts whore. That's the end of the story. Nothing else happens after that.
But that is definitely an escalation. Many women have experienced.
Oh yeah, that's very believable. And I mean, I think the story and the movie too, it's not black and white. Like, it's very shitty of him to text like that. She could have been a little more straightforward. You know, it's harsh when her friend grabs her phone and like, "All right, I'm taking care of this."
Yeah.
I feel she owed him a little more than that. Not like a lot more, you know. Don't be like writing this dissertation. She could have taken charge of that and been a little considerate, you know.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that's well done in the story, and that still exists in the movie, where from his point of view, he's like, "What did I do?" And it did seem like you liked me. And why wouldn't he think that she liked him?
Right.
Like, from his point of view, it did seem like she liked him, you know? I mean, she initiates going home with him, you know?
She does, yeah.
And she did like him. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah.
So it's hard to tell someone, well, I just got
changed
very
my
turned
mind.
off by
Yeah.
you, you know?
It's hard
I
to
thought I
find a
was
nice
into
way
you
to do
and I'm
that.
not, right? Yeah.
It's rough. So do you think that if there were a lot of edits that this could be a good movie, if they took a lot of stuff out, or just they went about it all wrong?
It's just badly done. Like, I think it's a good story with a good cast, mostly. I don't know if it's the direction or the writing or what, but I think it is like a decent thing that's just like very badly executed.
I mean, why couldn't it have just ended like the story ended? It could have ended there. Maybe it's not as cinematic or something. I don't know.
I mean, I think like the story itself is just this like nuanced story about dating and sexual mores and awkwardness, and she wanted it to be more of like a thriller.
Yeah. So in the story, are there flashes to like her being...
There's at least one of those. Yeah, I
like
think
he's
like
attacking her in the
she's
car,
yeah.
like,
So I
all
think
that.
they're in the car, and it does occur to her like,
Or she looks uncomfortable and he's like, "I'm not gonna murder you if that's what you're thinking," or something. And she's like, "You can murder me if you want." Like that.
Right.
That happens in the story.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna murder you.
Why would you say that?
It was a joke.
I don't know. That's a joke. And hey, you can murder me if you want.
Good to know.
maybe I have that more with like a Lyft driver than with a person that I know, even if it's someone I just met. Just an awareness of, I'm alone in a car that a man is driving. He could do anything. He could
go
there's
anywhere,
nothing,
do anything.
right? You know,
Right. We're on the highway. Like, it could get bad. You just have to put so much trust in someone.
Right.
When there are so many examples in the world of that going poorly.
In the story, did she find out that he had been following her, or like
No, that's not
plan
in the
to
story
meet?
at all. That's not in the story at all.
So like
The dog isn't in the story.
In the story, is he like threatening at all?
Like the negging, the low-key negging stuff happens.
No, you gotta stay over.
I can't.
No, I'll make you scrambled eggs in the morning.
Thank you, but my roommate will be worried.
Oh, yeah? Right. Gotta get back to that dorm.
Yep, since that's where I live.
So where do you like to go?
It's like Sonny's.
Sunny's the student ghetto? I'll take you someplace better.
Yeah, the negging and then the texting at the end. Like, all the texting happens just the same way in the story. Like, the friend grabs her phone, "I'm not interested, stop texting me," and he writes back sort of nice. That's disappointing. Like, reasonable. And then when they see each other later, and then he sends her that whole string of texts that ends with him calling her whore.
It's a good story.
Yeah.
I did find a quote from Susanna Fogel in Today where she says why she expanded the story. And she says, "There's one way to do an adaptation, which is that you service the fan base and you try to literally adapt the story. if we had made a very internal story that lived and died in Margot's head, I don't know a lot of men would go to that movie just because of the double standards. That's not how the film economy is driven. So that's rough because it's like pretty brainwashed by producers, it sounds like. Who cares if the men don't want to go to it?
Well, it's wild if you think that the finished product is something that's like going to appeal to men.
Yeah.
Or, you know.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, because like that was the whole controversy and the story came out to begin with. I don't think there would be a way to truthfully adapt it, and men are like, I love it too. Although my husband liked it. But he's not the kind of guy that typically hates feminist things, so.
Well, I mean, I'm not either, and
Yeah.
Matt's not. I mean, Matt
Yeah.
hated it. We got home from something, and I was like, I have to watch this movie at some point. And I was like more awake than he was. He fell asleep a lot. What he was awake for, he was like, I hate this movie. I mean, he's not an anti-feminist man.
Yeah.
He just felt like with Taylor and Isabella Rossellini, I get it.
Yeah.
It's like, give it a fucking rest.
I can especially see how if you're just like dipping in and out consciously, and that's all you're seeing, you're like, ah, shit, this movie sucks. I did think there was enough in between that made it better, but I do see everyone's point, even though I enjoyed myself.
So this is what's called a lunchtime poll.
Amy came up with a good lunchtime poll.
I have like 7 answers.
So, inspired by the fact that cinema she works at has a Harrison Ford Film Festival. If you were to curate a film festival, what actor would you curate the festival around, and what 3 films would you highlight and show? Amy, would you like to say
Sure,
one of your
I
many
know.
answers?
I thought
You can
this,
say a
I
couple,
wrote
too,
down
if you
so
want
many
to.
people. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna name 3 people just because that's narrowing it down from a lot. Kristen Wiig would be very fun because I'm dying to see Barb and Star on the big screen where it belongs. It was never released, so you could also do like Bridesmaids and Skeleton Twins. That was a great weekend right there.
That's great.
But that's like, I mean, anyone would do Kristen Wiig. So 2 others. I love Rachel Sennett so much.
Yeah.
And I feel like, what if we had Bottoms and Bodies, 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 and I Used to Be Funny? That would be a
That would be
nice
really
festival. But my final answer, just because Logan and I have been very into this person recently, and this way we'd get this movie in, is Kyle Gallner. Because one, like, there's probably not a lot of Gallner festivals happening, right? Not a lot of Gallners. And then that way you, of course, get to have Jennifer's Body, which is always great. It's never a bad time to watch Jennifer's Body. And could also have Strange Darling, which I really liked and I think is a great movie for discussion.
Yeah.
You know? And the third movie would be one we just watched, which was Dinner in America, which I loved. I'm a Dinner in American. We exist. I really very much, really liked that movie a lot. So I feel that would be a really fun weekend, those 3.
Yes. I can go next. I have 2 answers. Or I could actually combine the 2, probably. Laura Dern. I love Laura Dern so much. I would do Wild at Heart, Fabulous Stains, and Blue Velvet.
Nice.
But then also, Harry Dean Stanton is great, but he's also in Wild at Heart. So we could do those 2 together and have Wild at Heart and then also Fire Walk with Me and Paris, Texas.
Oh, nice.
I would like to do a Kate Winslet.
Ooh. We're so good at this, you guys.
I know.
I would do Titanic. I would definitely do Heavenly Creatures.
Yes.
And then Eternal Sunshine.
Oh, yes.
Or I would maybe swap Titanic with Sense and Sensibility. I love Sense and Sensibility.
Oh, I like
so
that when
much.
it came out. I didn't see it.
I love Kate Winslet.
Yeah.
She's fantastic. Throw a little Mare of Easttown in there. I know, I was like, would I have like the pilot for Enlightened?
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, that was such a good show.
So good on that. Oh my God, that whole show is fantastic. Laura Dern is just killing it on that show.
And I love it when she's with her mom, too.
Yes!
It's so good.
And her mom's in Enlightened, and her mom is in Wild at Heart as her mom. Or maybe just the scene that they're in together from Citizen Ruth.
Ruth, you listen to me! Don't you do it! What if I'd aborted you? Well, at least I wouldn't have had to suck your boyfriend's cock! Don't you bring that up again! That's ancient history!
Oh, good stuff. Their book that they wrote together is so good, too. They wrote a little memoir. It was mostly about how Diane Ladd thought she was going to die.
Oh.
Like, there was some poison pesticide on her lawn that killed her dog and apparently contributed to, like, lung problem that she had. And doctors told her she was going to die. But you can prolong your life if you just walk a little bit every day. And she's like, and I've never liked walking. I've always hated it. But I didn't want to die. So Laura Dern, like, she'd make her go out for walks. And then while they were going out for walks, Diane Ladd would tell her stories. And then they would start sharing with each other. And they ended up having just, like, this very transformational experience. And then Diane Ladd made a complete recovery. Isn't that amazing?
Wow, that's amazing. And that's so sweet with the stories.
Yeah, it's really good.
How very.
Okay, final thoughts. Cat Kristen.
I mean, I still love Susanna Fogel. Did anyone watch Winter yet?
No, not yet.
Yeah, I think I'll watch it.
Still a Fogel freak.
I mean, I loved that first movie she made, Life Partners. Did you ever watch that?
I didn't watch it, no.
That's a very enjoyable movie. And Spy Who Dumped Me is so good. And there was this book she wrote that was so funny.
Ooh.
I forget what it's called. It's an epistolary novel.
I love an epistolary.
Yeah, it's very good.
What's happening?
Letters.
Oh.
I'm going to look it up.
Cool.
So I don't know. This just didn't come together for you.
I really love Spy Who Dumped Me. God damn, that's a good movie.
That is such a good movie.
That's a perfect comedy, I think. I mean, comedy. Maybe stick with comedy.
Nuclear Family, a tragicomic novel in letters.
Nice.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
Yeah, it's very good.
Well, we'll see everybody again soon.
Perfect.
And
if you enjoyed this episode of Paid in Puke, please take a minute to give us 5 stars on your preferred podcast app. If you did not enjoy it, no further action is necessary. Paid in Puke is hosted by Jessica Baxter, Amy Green, and Christina Barr. Follow us on Twitter at PaidInPukePod, on Blue Sky at PaidInPukePod, on Instagram at PaidInPukeSeattle, and on Facebook at Paid in Puke Podcast. Paid in Puke is produced and edited by Divine Betty Media. Music by Silent Partner and Jessica Baxter. Thanks for listening. You're beautiful.
Lick it up, baby. Lick it